Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Legacy. My name's Noah Mitchell, and I'm the Senior Learning Experience Designer here at Legacy FM. And today, I want to talk about the get versus have mindset. Now, if you've seen some of my previous videos, I've often mentioned, and I even think I did a video on something called the growth mindset, in contrast to having a fixed mindset. And so this will sort of fit into that same conversation. But there was really an experience that I had a few years ago in graduate school that really changed my perspective on the matter with respect to the get have mindset. And so I feel like I really want to share that with you all, even though I've certainly not been perfect in implementing this perspective and mindset every day. It definitely makes a difference when I am able to do it. And so now you might be asking, okay, get to the punchline. What is the get versus have mindset? So I guess I'll start with the story, and I promise I'll make this one quick. A few years ago, I was in a professor's office, asking questions about various things and getting help, I believe, on a project that I was currently working on. And another student in the PhD program came up in the conversation. I always admire him. I still do. Very intelligent, very smart. But even more so than that, just a really, really kind and generous person, an amazing teacher, you name it, all wrapped up into a ball. This person was awesome. And so when that person came up in conversation, I must have asked my professor something along the lines of like, I just don't see how he does it. How does he know as much as he knows? How does he do his research as well as he does? Because I struggled so much and still do with some aspects of that life of doing research and finding the answers and asking the right questions. Again, if you've seen any of my videos, you know all of this to be the case. And so her response to that question that I asked about my peer was that, well, the thing about this person is that whenever they're faced with a challenge, they see it as an opportunity to learn. They don't see it as a bad thing. They don't see it as like, ugh, here's another thing I have to do, but rather, here's something that I get to do. Here's something that I have the opportunity to do and to learn from. And I don't know why, but in that moment, I had known about growth mindset and fixed mindset at the time. But for some reason, framing it in terms of getting and having to do something really shifted my own mindset. And so that's really what I wanted to share today is trying to implement that same perspective in your day-to-day life. So when you see things that maybe you're not as excited about doing, everybody has these various parts of their jobs that are more like, well, that's the part of the job I have to do. That's not necessarily the part that I'm really good at or that I want to do. Maybe if you frame it in a way where you say, you know what, at least I have the opportunity to get to do this thing. What can I learn from it? And so I think that in a lot of areas of our lives, not just in the professional domain, but certainly in that one, since that's what this video series really centers on. But really just asking yourself that question in any point, in any area of your life, I think can make a lot of difference and help us to continue to become better human beings. And so I've even really done this in my own work life in a few ways, and especially when creating e-learning courses, there are aspects of that are just a little more monotonous, maybe, and I tend to not like the monotonous things. However, when I sit back and I say, I get to do this. I get to have a flexible job where I can take my daughter to school every day, pick her up from school every day. And then I get to do this thing that maybe isn't as much fun for me in terms of what I'm good at, but I get to learn from it. And what can I learn from it? And then what I'm learning from it, how can I use that in a different way? I've even started to implement this mindset into course learning objectives or even into the content itself and the voiceover by saying things like, instead, by the end of this course, you'll be able to do XYZ. Sometimes I'll actually frame that in a different way and say, like, in this course, you'll have the opportunity to learn about XYZ, or in this course, you'll get to do XYZ while XYZ, you know? And I think just it really shifts the mindset. It gives you a different perspective of the thing that you're about to tackle. So, anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope that that helps some of you, gives you some ideas, food for thought. Definitely throw some comments below. We'd love to chat with you more about this topic, or, bring up anything else. We're just happy to have a conversation. Anyway, have a great day. We'll see you next time.